All right, hello everyone. Okay, so in this video, well, I hope you're all doing well, by the way. Well, in this video, we're going to talk about um, basically naming classes, right? The class name convention. Now, remember we just talked about variable naming, and we just created some examples. We said we had some rules for naming variables. Now, there are some rules for naming classes too. Now, you don't know what classes are by now, right? But then over here, when you look at the class header, which we talked about in the parts of a Java program, remember I said this is a class header, and the class actually serves as a container for your program. Okay, so we can see that this is the class header. Remember we briefly mentioned what these words mean. But this class means you're creating a class, a class called, this is just the name of the class, called Learn Java in this case. It's just a name. It's a name that we come up with. Just like variable names, we come up with class names. Again, you don't know what classes are, but then you know that every Java program you're going to write is going to have one public class. Okay, one public class. You can have multiple classes, but every Java program you're going to write is going to have one public class. We said that it acts as a container for your program, right? And then again, we'll talk more about it, but that part of a Java program video was just to give you an overview of what it really is, just to what it is, just to give you an idea of what it is. And we can tell that this is a container because this is an opening curly brace over here, and its closing curly brace is this, not this. This is the closing curly brace for the header. The method over here, main method. Again, we don't know a lot about methods too, but then we talked about it in the part of a Java program video. So this is the container for the class over here. So we know that this is a class, and we know this class is called Learn Java. This name is the name we came up. We made it up. Okay, just like variable names, remember we created a variable. We said an integer variable called, let's say, number. Okay, we are defining a variable, and we are saying that, we are naming it number. And we are saying this variable can only hold integers, right? We came up with this name, and we came up with class names. We come up with class names too. We name it ourselves. Now you can name it, pretty much, with the same rules here, right? But then you have the choice, right? So over here, you can see that I've capitalized it and I've made it a capital L. The reason why I've done that is because it's popular convention that, most programmers, actually, it's popular convention, it's recommended, okay, to name your classes with an uppercase. You see, with the camel case, we just talked about naming variables. It always starts with a small letter n, with a lower case. In this case, a small letter n. But with camel case, it always starts with a lower case. Remember, we said number of books, for example, right? We're basically applying camel case in here, and we know that with the camel case, it always starts with a lowercase letter or character. But with a class name, you can call this Learn Java with a lowercase letter. But the reason why I'm saying it's a convention is because if we name it with a capital letter, we can now tell the difference between a variable and a class. All right. Now, in your program, you can have multiple classes. In your program, you can have multiple variables. But this is recommended because if you have multiple classes and multiple variables, then you can tell the difference between what's a variable and what's a class, right? If you have so many variables declared, you have so many classes declared. If you name your class with a lowercase, you're starting with the lowercase, it can be confusing really what your classes are and what your variables are. So just to help with readability, just to help with making sure you understand, you can really flow with your code, you can understand in the flow of it. If you name it with a capital letter, then when you see it, you see the programmer defined classes of variables, you can tell that, okay, this is a class, and this is a variable because it starts with a lowercase. So it's recommended. It's not a strict thing. If you name your classes with a small letter, it's still going to work. Okay, if you name this Learn Java, it's still going to work. If you and then you basically applying the rules of naming variables, you can also you do the same thing here. But then this is recommended. Naming it with a uppercase is recommended. You haven't learned a lot about classes, but then just for now, anytime we are creating a class, just start with a capital letter because it's convention, it's popular convention, and it's recommended. It helps with you knowing the difference between variables and classes. Okay. And one more thing about classes. In Java, okay, whatever you name your class, okay, whatever name you use for your class has to be the same as your Java file. Okay, if you're naming your class Learn Java, your Java file also has to be named Learn Java. Okay, So now if I have Learn Java here, and because I've saved my file as Learn Java also, it has to be the same name, exactly the same name. If I compile this, I have no issues. It says over here, it's going to actually pop up and say that. 1 second, I took it down. Okay, so it says compilation complete. Okay, if I compile it, it says compilation completed. But as soon as I change this, let's say sorry, my PC is a bit slow over here. Okay, but the idea is that your class name has to be the same as your file names, okay, your Java file names. So if I change this to Java, like I remove the A at the end, now the file is named Learn Java. This is named Learn Java with no A. When I compile it, I'm going to get an error saying that Learn Java, which is this class, okay, should be declared in a file named Learn Java. So it's saying if I've named my class Learn Java, then my file also has to be named Learn Java. Okay, now the other way around, if you've named your file Learn Java, then you have to name your class Learn Java. So I'm going to put the A back and compile this, and then now it has no problem. So that's something you have to always know, that the name of your class has to match the name of your file. You write your class, you save your file, make sure that that file name is the same as your class name. All right. So if you want to name your file a specific way, make sure you name your class that same way, that same name. And again, you can name your classes with starting with a lowercase, and basically applying all the rules of naming variables. But then make sure that as popular convention and to help other programmers who read your code, and to make your programs actually easy to read, right? Make sure you always start with an uppercase, and you would appreciate this later on, as you get to learn more about classes. You'd appreciate it when you have big programs, and you'd say, okay, this now makes sense a lot. So it's popular convention to name your classes with uppercase. It's popular convention to name your variables with lowercase, so you can see the difference between them. So just keep that in mind, and that's what I wanted to mention in this video, because it can be key and it can help you later on as you learn more about Java. Okay, so I hope you get that. If you have any questions, please comment down below, and I'll do everything to respond to them. Thank you very much for watching. As always, take care of yourselves, and then I'll see you next time with the next program or the next video. I've been saying I'll see you next time with the next program so much. With the programming challenges, when I do the programming challenges, I say that I'll see you next time with the next program. But this one I should say video, I guess. But I guess when I say program, it makes sense too, because this is a program on its own. Anyway, never mind. Actually, this is not indented. We'll talk about all that. We haven't talked about indentations and actually all that stuff, but yeah, I indented it one level in. But don't worry, you don't know anything about that now. Maybe you have an idea, but if you don't know, it's fine. We'll talk about all that stuff. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time with the next video. All right then. Bye-bye.